welcome to NBA Jump Ball 2023 Draft Recap exclusively here on the Fired Up Network TV stations. You get it, Drew? You get it? You have a Roku at home? If you don't, do you have an Apple TV at home? If you don't, do you have an Android TV at home? If you don't, do you have everything? Amazon Fire TV sticks, anything. And download any of our over 30 apps to witness Drew Ebanks, Captain Canada, OnPointBasketball.com, and Alex Campbell, Fired Up Alex here on the Fired Up Network. All right, it's over. The dream is over. Drew, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to start with a little bit with Toronto Raptors. And Alex knows what I'm going to ask, and this is a TV exclusive, so I could get away with this. How's your dick, Drew? All right, is it Grady enough for you, or what?
I don't know. I'm kind of not.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you're talking about the draft pick, I don't know. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you
Go
really
ahead.
had to start with that, didn't you?
No, I mean, talk about these stuff, man. Come on. Alex is in shock.
I'm still feeling a little bit like I'm not sure where the Raptors are going. Obviously, we know Grady Dick is a very good player. McDonald's All-American, went to Kansas, can shoot the lights out, no doubt. He can shoot. He's got some athleticism also. This wasn't the pick that I thought the Raptors were going to go for. I thought they might go for a Hawkins. I thought they might go for guys that can get to the hoop, guys that can slash and create their own shots. So I was a bit, kind of shocked to see them pick Grady. The memes are going absolutely crazy out there. And I reposted. I just had to laugh when I reposted it. But it was a great set of moments by Grady as well. That was pretty fantastic. He does have a personality, that's for sure. Yeah. He got the Drake follow, so he's on it. The gear was crazy. That fit he had on was nuts. But for me, I was looking for even a guy like Keontae George, somebody that's more a guy that'll get to the whole, do his thing there. Hawkins, Whitmore. Like I was thinking, one of those guys were on the board. All of them were on the board, and the Raptors would go there at 13. And to be honest, man, I was kind of like, and a bunch of people in our chat groups were super surprised. Someone said to me today, I'm not going to say who at the Canada Basketball, but are they picking corporate these days? Or what happened to the grit? We need grit. You know what I mean? But hey, maybe Grady will surprise. I mean, I like his game. I think he's got a lot of, like I said, a lot of length, a lot of intangibles. And he looks to be more sneakily athletic than we may think.
So I asked this to Alex on Fired Up Live. I'll ask you, and then we'll go to Alex here. Does this Fred VanVleet, does this mean he's on his way out because they get sort of, I know he's not a traditional point guard at his size and everything, wingspan and everything, but Gary Trent opted in and they need a point guard. And Fred VanVleet, maybe he's back, maybe not. But Drew, what do you say? Does this enable him to be more with the Raptors, or enable him to leave more of the Raptors?
You mean the pick of Grady Dick?
Yes.
I mean, I don't really think it affects it per se. I don't even know if they really can be considered the same position. So I don't think that's going to really affect it. I don't know. To be honest, like we said, we don't know where the Raptors are going. I think everybody's confused. We thought they would kind of retool, move some guys around this early year's trading deadline. They didn't do it. We're hearing that Pascal definitely does not want to leave Toronto. That pretty much means that Poeltl is going to re-sign. If Pascal's already saying that, those guys are like joined at the hip. Yeah. And so
that's
for
why
me,
they brought back Poeltl to help him,
to help keep.
And since they brought back Poeltl, he's been awesome, Poeltl. So
yeah, he's been awesome when he played. I mean, especially at the first few games or first couple weeks, like he played like crazy. So I don't know where the Raptors are going right now. Like I said, people are wanting, what they're doing as far as draft picks, where they want to go, and also a coach that's possibly a rebuild coach, but also in the next vein could be a coach that could possibly lead them on. So, they're kind of all over the place, to be honest with you guys right now.
All right. So, Alex, I'm going to shift away from the Raptors for a second and ask about not your team, but where you're at, Boston, because Boston. We talked about this with they got Porzingis, they got rid of Marcus Smart, they did a lot of moves in draft night and all that. Where do you see, and because Stephen A, I was watching the ESPN2 there, or ESPN, Stephen A said, guarantee you, Boston is the favorite to win right now, better than Golden State, better than Lakers, Golden State or whatever, but you know what I mean. Do
Yeah.
you agree with that?
No. I don't know why Stephen A likes him so much. Like, to me, with I like the Walsh pick. I do. I like the Walsh pick. I felt like it was a good value at 23. I mean, he kept, Stevens kept trading back basically to get that pick. And once the dust settled, they decided that they draft a 6'8" freshman. I thought he was really good at Arkansas in the last year. Is one of the main reasons Arkansas was one of the teams favored in the tournament. So I like the draft pick. What I don't understand is why they think Porzingis is going to somehow unlock the offense. I don't get it. To me, the reason they got Porzingis, it ties directly to the fact that Horford was just not as stable as they wanted him to be down the stretch last year. And at 37 years old, it's kind of like a car. Once it starts to go bad, like you know what I mean? It's not going to be dependable. It's not going to, he's not going to reach that level again. Al Horford is not going to be Al Horford of 3 years ago next year magically. So he's going to be 38 at some point next year too. And so I think that's the reason that they end up getting Porzingis, a guy that can do a lot of the same stuff, basically, but a guy that really only is going to give you like 55 to 60 games out of the year historically, and maybe less as he gets older in a big frame.
Does he open up the floor for Tatum and Brown? And maybe that's why they did it.
Maybe because he'll pull a big out to the perimeter. You know what I mean? So there may be that, especially Brown, because he's more of a slasher than Tatum. So maybe it creates more open looks at the rim for those guys. I thought that's one thing they could really do a lot better job doing, especially in those two late series in the postseason. Was get to the rim, and every time they did it, they won the game against Miami. Every time they did it, they won it was just crazy that they went away from it. But I would say this is that's the big dividing line between Ime Udoka that just left and Mazzulla, who's there now, is that Mazzulla is more of a metrics style coach, that he believes that winning and losing comes down to the team that takes more threes. Udoka is more of an old school coach that believes you have to get stops first, no matter what you do on the offensive end. So you saw the Celtics defense, team defense, and nobody really talked about this. You saw that defense go from a top 10 defense under Udoka, if not maybe a top 5, all the way down to a bottom 3rd defense under Mazzulla. And it's the same exact roster. And by the way, Porzingis is not some, rim defending god or anything like that. He's going to help a little bit, but he's not a great defender, especially when you consider his size. So, I don't think that becomes the philosophy all of a sudden to stop taking threes and allow that stretch big to create more slash opportunities for the two superstars.
Continuing on with Boston, maybe I'll get Drew because he hasn't passed us the coffee. Tim Hortons there, he's hogging all it. He comes in late and comes in with the coffee and everything. Brad Stevens, the general manager, kudos to him. Look what what has he done become the general manager. Nobody's talking about. He took them to the semifinal. Okay, did not take them to the NBA final. Udoka took them and all that. But what about Brad Stevens as a GM and everything, pulling off moves here and there? And let's face it, they came back from 3-0 down to Miami. Shouldn't be down 3-0, but whatever. They still lost and everything like that. That would have been a better series. All of us knew it. Denver and Boston over Denver and Miami. Speak about Brad Stevens.
Well, obviously, Brad Stevens came from college ranks. That was surprising in and of itself when Boston plucked him out of the college ranks and brought him up to the NBA. Had some early success in there, and then when you saw the move from him to the front office, that kind of took everybody in a back as well, because I guess failing to live up to the expectations, having risen so fast, not able to get the title, that he moved on. But yeah, you got to give him credit. For some reason, the Boston front office people always do great jobs there. You look at Danny Ainge and what he did overtime as well. You got to love what Brad Stevens is doing. And I think it's actually better suited for him to be in that front office position than to be on the bench. There seemed to be some kind of disconnect towards the end there when he moved and had to move up to the front office. Some people also said he kind of failed upwards, which was interesting when they put it that way. Normally, you fail as a head coach, you're out of a job. But in this case, you fail as a head coach and they put you up to the front office. So he's lucky. You got to thank his lucky stars that they believe in him. But as much as I hate Boston, I'm not a huge Boston Celtics fan because they're rivals of the Raptors. I have to give him props for what he's done. Great, savvy guy. I like the Porzingis move. I think they need – everybody's going long in every position, even point guard. You're not going to find any 6'1" point guards anymore, guys. Everything is 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and it's almost like a carbon copy. Every team is going for length. So I think he's done a good job so far. We'll see what more straws he has to pull out the hat as well.
And you mentioned, Stevens moving upwards. Isn't that the same, could you say, about Dwayne Casey? Even worse, because Dwayne Casey never won what Brad Stevens won, but they still moved him up.
Yeah, he's another one who kind of failed up as well. Got lucky to
failed up is because Brad Stevens took them to the semifinal. This guy has won 27 games for Detroit.
Yeah, but I mean, I think for him, Dwayne Casey's been around for eons, right? So obviously, you don't want to just throw a guy like that to the Wolves. He has been around. He's got experience. Won a title in Dallas, so you got to give him the respect for that. So I think that's why he's able to fail up in a way. And you know what? They've drafted some good pieces over at Detroit. We spoke about it as well recently. They may need now to kind of reach in and grab some vets to go along with those young players.
All right. So, Alex, we'll start with you here. We'll start with the first round. Then I'll go to Drew with the first round and then the second round. But first round, give me your steal. Give me a team you thought could do better. And go ahead.
Steal has got to be Cam Whitmore at 20.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and like, look at the Rockets. I think have had one of the best drafts. I love Amen Thompson. Cam Whitmore was a sensational pick. In fact, the Rockets were the only team that, when I'm doing the team grades right now, and I haven't released the article yet, but the Rockets are the only team that didn't pick in the top 3. I know they had the 4th pick, but they didn't pick in the top 3 that they gave an A+ to, basically, because to me, they did a great job of landing the perfect guy. Whitmore should have been a top 5 pick, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I can't believe, as you said, Alex, I can't believe the Raptors. I don't know what happened there. I mean, he's there. Take him.
Yeah, exactly.
And wait a minute, for Houston also, imagine if they get James Harden still with what they got. And now James Harden, and Houston wants to move. Houston's going to be a player in free agency also, from what I hear. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the team that I thought could have done better is the Phoenix Suns. I mean, I like Camera a little bit, but I just don't like it for the fit of their team and where they're trying to go necessarily. He's kind of a do-it-all forward who, by the way, is never going to touch the ball with that roster. You know what I mean? What I really would like to see them do is maybe try to trade up a little bit to maybe find a point guard that they could work with. You know what I mean? In that lineup after losing Paul, I don't know, because I'm not saying that he'll be this point guard I'm talking about would be the starter from day one, but I don't believe that Booker cannot satisfy that distributed role long term, in my opinion. I think they're going to have to, maybe in free agency now, get a point guard. You know what I mean?
Drew, what do you say? And one other thing, I got to give it to Denver. They won the title, and they sneakily move up into low first round, pick up veteran rookies. When I say veteran rookies, I know that's whatever, but if I'm Denver, because Jamal Murray's still going to be Jamal Murray, Jokic is still going to be Jokic. They're going to be hungrier to. Oh, it's not a fluke. LeBron wasn't there, or Greek Freak wasn't there, or whatever. They're going to be even hungrier next year to prove that they may, and let's face it, they may go back to back. Drew, what do you say about the first round and Denver?
First round, I mean, obviously the first few picks went according to schedule. The top three, you knew that order. You just didn't know. You knew those three players were going to get selected. You just didn't know which order. Turns out Brandon Miller, long, versatile. I think they were more looking to fit him in with LaMelo Ball. They didn't really want to go to another point guard, so that's why they went to a forward or wing there. I love the Thompson twins. I mean, wow, aggressive, strong. We thought, most pundits said they were going to go back to back, and I agree
You
with
love them
Alex.
singing also, Drew? Do you love the Thompson twins singing?
Oh, I love it. Those guys, that group was unbelievable back when we were growing up. The Thompson twins. I like the Pacers, what they did. Bilal Coulibaly, been watching him a little bit for, as we watched the Metropolitans 92 and Victor Wembanyama, who went number one. This kid right here grew, I think it was about 8-9 inches.
Yeah, but then we got traded. I think Washington and Indiana
Yep.
traded. So.
Yep. And then I was going to say yes. And then moved over. Unfortunately, they did move him to Washington. So Washington kind of picking up the pieces there. And then Jarace Walker, the forward out of Houston, went to Indiana. So flip-flopping a little bit there. I think Indiana knows they've got guard play already. They just need to consistently get some wing play. And I think that's where they were going with Jarace Walker. I, again, was shocked that a guy like Jordan Hawkins, who led UConn championship and, such a talented guard, I think he was a guy I was looking at as well. Keontae George was looking at him also to be a guy that the Raptors could target, just because I like guys that can get to the hole and score off the bounce. I think we, as the Raptors, have been missing that element for many, many years, a guy that can put it on the bounce. I mean, we had DeMar. Towards the end of the time here, DeMar developed a little bit of better handles, but I still feel in order to break down defenses and create some of those opportunities for shooters, that's where they need to get better at. And then I agree again with Alex there saying, what Cam Whitmore, I mean, I saw his workout, saw him obviously during the season, what they did in Villanova and how they played. You got to love Villanova guards. Obviously we had Kyle Lowry here, big time guard. Jalen Brunson, you're seeing what he can do. So they develop guards incredibly well. Look out for a guy like Dariq Whitehead. I like him. Duke product there. Brooklyn, quietly picking him up at 22. And then, of course, our guy, Olivier Maxence Prosper.
Oh, that's my guy, not our guy. That's my guy. Going to Dallas now, playing with Kyrie. Come on.
Well, Kyrie's not necessarily there, but we'll see. But again, a great story, Haitian background, went to the NBA Academy with Benedict Mathurin, that's at Indiana right now. So, you could see that whatever they're doing there at the NBA Academy, they actually have a beat on talent also. So great to see him get picked up by the Kings and then move to Dallas. We know Mark Cuban loves Canadians. Dwight Powell is there. They also picked up Eugene Omoruyi a couple years ago as well, had him for a little bit. So they like their Canadian players as well. So I like the first round. I think most teams did pretty well. I also like Jaime Jaquez Jr. out of UCLA. I think that kid, it fits exactly what Miami needs and likes, that tough-nosed player. And Jaime, I've watched a lot of UCLA because a lot of Canadians on Oregon over the last few years.
No, because they're forced with Tracy Murray.
He's just a winner. And Tracy's going to definitely, when we speak to Tracy, he can tell you what a tough character Jaime is. So great pick for them. And then as far as you said, the Suns, right? The Suns are making moves. It's hard to say where they're going to end up, but safe to say this is a team that the window to win is right now. Just heard recently Marcus Carr as well, another Canadian, played at Minnesota, played at Texas to finish out his career. Marcus Carr is signed on with them. I think it's Summer League, I believe it is. Yeah. For them. And Charles Bediako, I'm going to double check where he got signed, but he got picked up, another Canadian, got a 1-year contract. I believe it's with the Spurs. So he picked up a 1-year contract out of Alabama. Charles Bediako had a great tournament, showed his strength defensively, rebounding wise. If he can bring his offensive game up, that's going to be great for them.
Well, I'm going to touch on, before we go to round two, get Alex's thoughts on this one. like we mentioned, Dallas, because they traded, and this guy is a story, Derek Lively. All right, I think that guy's going to be a
I
sleeper there.
like him.
Also, I want to talk about the moves that Utah did. Utah was all over the first round there. You want to mention Utah, Alex?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, the Jazz, they're in full rebuild mode. I know you guys remember how much like we were surprised by their early success last season. I mean, after they gave away all the assets they did, and all of a sudden they're like, they were like 10-5 or 10-3 or something, or some crazy stuff like that. But they're in full rebuild mode. But like to pick up Hendricks in the first and then Keontae George to add to that, I thought that was incredible. And then Sensabaugh there at the end of the first. I mean, that was I feel like they had a stellar draft. Like they already have Markkanen and Walker Kessler, and now they're filling the rest of that roster out with shot makers and pure scorers, and just a lot of youthful, like high upside players, which I think that's exactly what they need to do. Indiana, I know I said this last night, Indiana plays a lot like Detroit, where it's hard. It is really hard to get marquee free agents to come there. So when you've got to have drafts like this where you trade around, you try to make deals to end up with 3 first-round picks.
All right, let's get. It looks like almost everybody till the 41st pick got traded from 31 to 41. Everybody who picked, they got traded there. Alex, your thoughts on early second round?
Early second round, I thought, it went pretty much as predicted, because I know that was just a crazy trade market, but that's kind of like where we thought like all the trade fireworks were going to fly in the first, they actually did in the second. You know what I mean? So like there was that. One guy that I really like that got picked, right around there is this Mohamed Gouye. You know what I mean? To me, he's more of a developmental project player, but he's a guy that I think has the physical traits to be really, really good. It's like a potential borderline all-star in the league. I also liked, ultimately I did like the Celtics pick of Walsh. I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, the 6'8" wingman out of Arkansas, because he's one of the guys that really, to me, Walsh is one of the guys that really jumped off the screen in the tournament when I saw Arkansas play, and also in the SEC tournament when I watched Arkansas play. I thought that he really stepped up and became a leader for that team in a time that he really needed it. And I think the Celtics, like, let's be honest, they just gave away the spiritual leader of their team in Marcus Smart, and then now they get another high character type guy. To me, it really looked like a very responsible decision for the Celtics to trade back multiple times and then take a high character guy like this. It's very much like a old school Bill Belichick type of pick.
All right, Drew, your thoughts on the second round as we close out here?
Well, I thought obviously we were hoping for Leonard Miller to get picked in the first round. A stellar season for him, NBA G League Ignite. I believe he was the first player to average double points and rebounds for the Ignite as well in their existence. So a little disappointed he didn't go first round, but you know what? He went to San Antonio in the second, and I believe moved over to Minnesota.
Minnesota, the T-Wolves.
Yeah. So that's interesting there. I mean, obviously, Karl Anthony Towns, a little bit of flux there. Is he going to still be there? Are they going to try to move him? I think it's not the greatest organization as far as developing players and culture, no doubt. But hopefully, the last couple of years, they've kind of made some strides in that aspect of things. So hopefully he's going to have a good go at it right there. But second round, I like Gouye as well. I think, they did well, Charlotte, to go after him and get him. A guy I really like as well, guys, is Amari Bailey out of UCLA. I think he's an underrated player, very good off the handle, crafty. And I guess he's more famous for Drake having to be at his games. And also, I think Drake was seen with his mom as well, maybe dating, who knows. But I think that was kind of interesting back a couple years ago.
Drake dating another girl? That's news. Even Alex knows that. That's like, today is what, Friday? Doesn't he have 2 girls on Friday? Come on.
Yeah, Drake's got his thing going on. But no, I like Bailey's game. I think he's a guy who you got to look out for. And there's a kid, City Sissoko, who a French kid, played as well with Leonard Miller in the G League Ignite. Just love his body, love his physicality. And he was picked up by Toronto, then moved over to the Spurs. And the Spurs love these type of players, these European players or, overseas players that they can mold and don't have to worry about a lot except them wanting to play good in basketball. And when you look towards the end of the draft, you look at a Kansas State and Keontae Johnson, and you got to love the OKC picking him up. Stellar player. And then you look at the case of Imani Bates and where he could have been, guys, before all the mayhem. Would have been a first-round draft pick, should have been a lottery pick. One of the first few guys chosen with all the problems he had, dropped to 49th, ending up at Cleveland as well. Yeah. So, and another guy I liked it too, before you jump in, Alex, is Isaiah Wong. And I liked what the Pacers did to pick him up. I think he's a player that has a lot of upside, and I think he's going to have a real chip on his shoulder, as well as Trace Jackson Davis from Indiana, who went 57th and ended up with the Wizards as well.
All right, so I'm going to ask both of you guys this, because I know we all know now Alex's take on the number one pick, okay? So I'm going to ask you.
The only dissenter in all of the media.
Okay, that's correct. That's correct. Yep. Unless you ask some guy with hair, maybe he dissents everything else that you say.
No, I like him. I like Wemby. Oh, quickly, before you get into that, Joe, I wanted to point out, unreal, Oscar Tshiebwe out of Kentucky, the first and only Naismith winner since 2000. So 23 years to go undrafted. Unbelievable.
Yep.
The NBA doesn't like rebounding. They don't like toughness. They don't like bigs. He'll find his way, though. He'll find something, no doubt.
So here it is. I'm going to ask Alex to start it off here. Let's go with the top five picks. Which one in 2023 is the best? We're talking now in 2026. Pretend this is June 23rd, 2026. God, I look good for 3 years. Like, oh my gosh. All right. So
unfortunately, I'm going to give you a two-part answer. All right. My heart wants to say Scoot Henderson. It does. But look, I believe I won't break down all five. I think there are 5 types of basic NBA players. Okay. And the type that Scoot falls into is the least likely to have a long and very productive and winning career. It's the downhill athletic small guard. You think about these guys don't typically have long-term success. They just don't. I mean, Steph Curry, just forget about Steph Curry. He's not a downhill guy. I'm talking about the John Morants, really Allen Iverson's probably the best one I can remember. The smaller downhill guards, even Derrick Rose before the injury, you know what I mean? That type of player, highlight reel player. But see, the thing that a lot of those guys lack is they're so athletically gifted that I think that they don't always work as hard as they could and should on all the things that they need to be a fully rounded and developed NBA player, because they're so athletic. I do see a little fire in Scoot, though, that he doesn't come off like the typical showboating downhill athletic dynamic guard. He comes more off like a spiritual team leader that also has those traits. So I would love to say Scoot, but at the same time, he falls into a category that I cannot just not depend on. Brandon Miller does. Brandon Miller, to me, Charlotte is building something, and to play alongside, I know Michael Jordan. This might be Michael Jordan's best draft pick ever as a talent evaluator.
But he's gone.
He's gone. And I don't understand why they let him make the decision. I still don't. But to get an athletic 3-and-D guy that can play alongside Melo and give you probably like a 28-5 kind of average. I mean, to me, that's a key piece. I'm a big believer, and I've said it on our show before, that the recipe of success to win an NBA championship or to win multiple is the holy trinity of basketball. To have a really high level all-star plus type guard, a really high-level all-star plus type wing, a really high-level all-star plus type big. And one of those guys can be a borderline all-star, but only one, and the other two have to be that all-star plus category. And I think that is the recipe. It's not just like 3 superstars. It is 3 superstars at the right position. And if Miller pans out, Charlotte's on their way. I do have something to say about Imani Bates, and because I know Drew mentioned him. I don't like the Bates pick. Look, if the lights of Memphis are too bright for you, you don't belong in the NBA. That's it. If you're shaking in your boots with Penny Hardaway in Memphis, you ain't gonna make it in the league. That's it.
All right, Drew. He says Miller's the best player 3 years from now. By the way, Alex, I want you to close your eyes, think about Drew 3 years from now, white hair, everything like that. Still late for shows. Still didn't bring me coffee. Still, I got your receipt, $6,200 on a trip to Mexico. What's wrong with you?
And this, by the way, guys, is after Wemby misses like at least a season and a half of the first three, probably 2 of the first 3 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Go ahead, Drew.
It's going to be Wemby for me. Just from what I've seen, and obviously you hope that injuries aren't going to play a part, but if he's healthy, there's no way anyone's going to challenge that guy. What he can do already, if he gets stronger or when he gets stronger, he's only going to get better. There's no question in my mind that Victor Wembanyama is going to be the best player in 5 years out of those top 5. And he's just a once-in-a-generation type player. And he's just going to prove it. He's just going to be a guy who can do it on both ends. And he could be a player that changes the way basketball is played and could be one of those generational type players.
Good.
All right.
I'm hearing also that the Raptors picked up one of my favorite guys, Marquise Noel.
Yes.
King of New York as a two-way player. And I love it. I love that pick. I'm excited.
Alex, you don't know this. That's one of Drew's guys. All right.
Oh, okay.
That's
one
of Drew's guys. Yeah.
I don't know him.
My guy.
Yeah. The Lakers got my guy, man. They picked him up undrafted. You guys know I mentioned Demoy Hodge as a potential second-round pick at the Raptors.
Right.
Man,
I did mention him.
I was surprised he didn't get drafted. I know he's 24. He doesn't leave a lot of room for development with his age. You know, I get that. But he's already a 3-and-D guard right now, bro. Like, he doesn't need a lot of development to at least fill a common role in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, if you can teach him a few more things, the guy could be a borderline all-star basically, because he's got that athleticism. But he's a great perimeter defensive player and he's a hell of a shooter. I mean, what do you want?
All right. So as we close this, NBA jump ball draft recap here, Alex, you'll start us off. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you, and then I got something for Drew. Go ahead.
All right. You can get a hold of me at Fired Up Alex on Twitter, at Fired Up Alex on Instagram. We're on the crossover series here on the Fired Up Network. I'm on the On Point show like we are right now, on occasionally with Norman Billy. Coming soon, too. I'm also a sports writer for the Fired Up Network, and coming soon, I'm going to start doing a college football show for the Fired Up Network, which I am so crazy excited about. So.
All right, Drew, just in case everybody has missed, number 13 pick this year in the draft, your guy, who is it?
Grady Dick.
I'm not even going to touch that. I had something so good planned.
Not my guy.
It's your guy.
He's picked, and I hope he's going to turn out to be my guy.
I hope he will.
He brings a lot of intangibles for sure. I mean, and the fact is he's got great length and also a shooter, which is what the NBA is right now. It's a shooter's league. You can't really go wrong there. But I just felt we needed more grit, which is what somebody said to me today. Hey, this guy's going to be a king of social media, so watch out for that.
So, and here, before we close it out, Drew, Thursday night, you couldn't join us for the recap of round 1. Me and Alex carried it. We didn't need you. We don't need you anyways. But here it is. Scarborough Shooting Stars, you were at the game. Let's talk about the CEBL. Another victory for the Scarborough Shooting Stars. Both games Thursday with Montreal and Ottawa and Scarborough and Edmonton. Really close games, and people should go out of their way to watch the CEBL, because fantastic stuff is coming from the CEBL. And I'm telling you, next year or the year after, watch, somebody's going to be drafted from the CEBL who has a great year. But Drew has courtside seats. He hobnobs with the best of them and everything like that. He has promised Marty Roberts a courtside seat. He has promised Alex a courtside seat. He has told me that I could go with him anytime. He never picks up the phone when the Scarborough's playing. He says, "I'll pick you up. I'll be the chauffeur and all that." But where were you yesterday, Drew? Where were you yesterday when I wanted to go to the game? But I said, wouldn't it be cool to do Fired Up Live, the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, on millions and millions of TVs from the Pan Am Center in Scarborough, my good hometown of Scarborough. All right? Me and Sam Ibrahim will go way back to Malvern Mall. Way back, man. Remember, Drew, we went to Shoeless Joe's at Morningside. Me, Sam Ibrahim, and you, we were chatting it up about how to build a good
You need to
DBL
stop.
team.
You
Go
need to
ahead, Drew.
stop right now.
All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
great game, great league. What a finish again. Scarborough getting it done, winning their 4th in a row. They are up to 5-4 and right in the hunt in the playoff race. So hopefully they can continue to do it as well. Cat Barber, an unbelievable player, Atlanta native, just doing it. I think he had 35 in the game.
Cat Barber, my guy.
Finished it up, sold it, sealed the game with the Elam ending free throw to take it as the Scarborough Shooting Stars won that one. So keep it locked, onpointbasketball.com. Drew Ebanks on Twitter, On Point Basketball on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and
What's
TikTok.
your TikTok? You know, Grady did watch your TikTok.
Yeah, we're covering it. We're covering it all. And I just came from a great event with Canada Basketball, a new partnership, 3-year partnership with the Keg restaurant chain. Unbelievable event.
Wait. Yeah, look, even Alex gets involved in this one. Wait a minute. For those who don't know, Alex, you're in the States. The Keg restaurant is known for steaks. Drew Ebanks. Now we know, Alex. Now we know why he was late for half an hour. How many steaks did you eat, Drew? How many steaks did you eat?
No steaks, but we had some great hors d'oeuvres and other beverages. We'll leave that off the air, but just great. It was hosted by Paul Jones, Raptors broadcaster. You had players such as Kayla Alexander, Sammy Hill, Aaliyah Edwards.
My guy!
In the building. Who else was in the building? A lot of the Canada basketball brass. Mike Bartlett, who's the new guy that's doing it all for Canada basketball, bringing in a lot of sponsorship. And I was able to meet a few of the execs and higher ups as well from the Keg, hoping to do some things together also in the future. So it was a great event, great partnership.
Hold on. Stop.
You never stop cutting me off. I can't ever finish.
Did you mention Fired Up Network? Did you mention Fired Up Network? You're part of Fired Up Network Worldwide.
Yeah, I did. I that's all that came out of my mouth. It was fired up. Every other word.
I'm sure that's all that came out of your mouth when you're eating steaks there. Come on. All right.
No, great event, fantastic event. And like I said, the Canada basketball, they're making these connections with the corporate community. And it's great to see finally corporate Canada really being involved. The Global Jam is kind of up in July. Team USA represented by Kentucky on the men's side and represented by Louisville. And Marissa Russell from Louisville was also there. She's going to be playing against Team Canada in this U23 competition at the Mattamy Athletic Center. So that's going to be interesting, rooting for Marissa or rooting for Team Canada. But we'll be there on location at the Global Jam. It's in mid-July. And also, I'll be heading down to the ceremony for the Basketball Hall of Fame in Canada. My good friend Rowan Barrett invited me to come out. He's going to be receiving his induction into that as well as Tammy Sutton Brown, the only Canadian woman to win a WNBA championship with the Indiana franchise. So
when is that, Drew?
That I believe is on July 14th. I think that's a Friday. Is that ceremony, and it's going to be during the whole Global Jam celebration, Joe.
And Mr. Barrett, my guy, all right? That's my guy.
That's your guy.
That's my guy. All right, Alex, you could see Canada is just thriving with basketball. I know you're your guy in the States here, but Canada's thriving, and we're coming. We're coming after USA like crazy. We're coming for them in soccer. We're coming for them in basketball. We're coming for them in water polo. We're coming for them in swimming. We're coming for them. Are you ready, Alex?
Somebody's got to tackle Western Europe. I mean, or even Eastern Europe. Just Europe in general. Somebody's got to come after because right now we're all getting our asses kicked by Europe. So
don't spoil my surprise. We're starting up the Fired Up Network Romanian League. All right. Don't Drew Ebanks going to be there for Romanian League. Kefac Fabrine. All right. There you go. For Alex Campbell, Fired Up Alex, and read his stuff here. Great stuff on the firedupnetwork.ca for Captain Canada, Drew Ebanks, and check out CBL action. Scarborough, even in Brampton, we have Brampton Honey Badgers around the GTA area. Two great teams. In fact, Hamilton moved to Brampton. They were the champions, but go out, support Brampton. Also, the Brampton Badgers, nice shirts and all that. And if you're watching in Vancouver, they also got new shirts also in Vancouver there also. And Vancouver is hosting the CBL Championship, Drew. I know you want to go on the corporate Fired Up Network airline. Alex will pay for that.
Yeah, I got you.
Speaking of Vancouver, also Nav, the super fan, was at the event and said they're running their camp, youth camp out in Vancouver. They did one in Toronto in the Malton area last summer in August. They are heading out to Vancouver. Nav and Rinku is manager. So I want to shout out Nav, the super fan, who's
my
everywhere.
guy, Nav. He owes me Nav body owes me some Hondas and everything like that, or
Hyundai, yeah.
Hyundai.
No, right. He's just a great ambassador, not only for the Toronto Raptors, but also for Canada basketball. So again, the Keg signed on 3-year partnership with Canada basketball, and they have a lounge, Joe, at the Global Jam. It's incredible, where it's sliders, it's food, it's steak, it's veggies, it's
Alex is even getting hungrier now.
Alex is coming up just to be
I am hungry.
in that VIP lounge at Global Jam.
Truth, man. I'm starving right now.
Don't tell Marty anything about this because he's running low on toilet paper. All right. Okay. For again, Alex Campbell and Drew Ebanks, you've been watching an outstanding edition of Ballin here, NBA Jump Ball on the Fired Up Network. Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. Thanks a lot, guys.